This is Mark Patterson. I'm going to call the September Cemetery Board meeting to order. We had to reschedule due to some things that I was involved with, so I appreciate your forbearance on that. I have no other opening remarks other than introduce the board. I'm Mark Patterson, representing Secretary of State Robert Rodriguez. Jill?
Hi, I'm Jill Faber, representing Attorney General Letitia James.
And Tom?
Hi, I'm Thomas Fuller, representing Dr. James McDonald for the Department of Health.
Great. And we have our Director, Louis Balschuck, and our Counsel, Van Willis, and Assistant Director, Liz Young, also in attendance. The first order of business is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Does anybody have any corrections or changes to the minutes as distributed?
No
No.
corrections.
Hearing none, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting as distributed.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
All right. We have legislative regulations reports. Anything else to add other than what was mailed?
No legislative report this month for regulations. The notice of proposed rulemaking for regulations related to natural organic production appeared in the August 23rd State Register. The public comment period will end October 22nd, and since publication, I have not received any comments.
Any questions from Rob?
No questions.
No.
Director's report, division report? Sorry.
It's like, see this? This is one I had too.
Reminder to mute if you're not
So you gotta make sure it
speaking.
matches.
Yeah, John, I think it's John. Did you make sure you're muted?
See now, that doesn't match.
Wellwood, Beth
You guys
Moses,
gotta match
you guys
it, so we're gonna match it.
excuse.
Pardon us for, Wellwood, your mic is open,
Yes.
so just,
My name is
just-
Richard Bethel. Hello?
Yeah, we're not up to you. Hi, Richard, we're not up to you yet. Give us 30 seconds.
you'll be there in a minute.
Louis? That's fine.
Yeah,
So we just want to make sure everybody else was muting their line when they're not speaking, so.
okay.
Louis, go ahead.
Yeah, I can't access anything. So we've got couple more Cemetery 101 sessions scheduled, one of which is gonna be at Greenwood. That's gonna be either the 25th or 26th of October. We're working on a precise date. We also have one in Eastern Suffolk County on November 2nd. Kensco Cemetery in Westchester County is offered to host. We just have to find a date. We're still looking for a venue in somewhere in Orange or Sullivan or Ulster County to catch that region. Sorry?
Glens Falls.
Glens Falls? Wait, what's the date?
Well, Queen, well, we didn't determine the date. We're looking at the first or second week of November as potential.
Okay, second week would be better since we have one the first week already downstate, but yeah. Let's see, what else is going on? We are still trying, what?
Natisha started.
Natisha start?
We were here last board meeting. This is my first one.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So welcome to our new associate accountant, Natisha Simon. She must have started like minutes after our previous board meeting.
17th of August.
Yeah, I think it was right after our previous board meeting. So welcome.
Thank you.
We are still working on some hiring. We have, we're waiting for candidates for an Albany position. We should be getting that soon. We had an unsuccessful recruitment twice in Syracuse, so wish us luck on that. We're not gonna go for that again for a little while. And we have somebody starting in New York City tomorrow. Other than that, we're getting close to our annual report mailing, so the cemetery should be watching for that at the beginning of the year. One reminder which I've been giving people is when you do send that back, please update your trustee lists. Please also give us emails and phone numbers for people, so if we get a call and somebody is trying to arrange a burial for the next day or the day after, and they can't reach the board, the one phone number that we have, it's good to have more than one phone number.
Anything
I
else,
think
Lois?
I had something else, but in the absence of being able to find any of the documents, I guess I'm done.
Okay, so I think we're gonna take one item out of order, which is a request from Beth Moses in terms of their notification. Would you like to tee it up, Rob?
Before we do, note my recusal.
Good. Noted, thank you.
Noted. Okay, so thank you. This is an application from Beth Moses Cemetery to provide notice of a meeting of lot owners solely by publication. I've circulated an advisory memorandum to the board. In short, Beth Moses and Wellwood Cemeteries plan to merge to address issues of shared administrative expenses and identical directors. The combined total size of the cemeteries would exceed 200 acres, and so this merger would be subject to not-for-profit corporation law 1506-D. The draft plan of merger contemplates that Wellwood would be the surviving cemetery. The board and lot owners still must meet to approve the latest plan of merger that addresses the requirements of not-for-profit corporation law 1506-D. So a cemetery that will not be a surviving cemetery in a merger resulting in a cemetery over 200 acres, like Beth Moses, may not give notice of a meeting of lot owners to vote on the plan of merger solely by publication unless it would cause undue hardship. Beth Moses has submitted an application to the board to permit it to provide notice to its lot owners of the meeting to vote on the plan of merger by publication. Beth Moses would also notice the meeting through the statutorily required public notice and posting on its website. So today the board isn't rating on recommending approval of the plan of merger or approving the certificate of merger today. This is solely to provide direction to the cemetery as to what notice to its lot owners will be sufficient. In the summer of 2021, Division and I brought this kind of procedure to the board's attention so that we could give regulatory certainty to cemeteries pursuing this kind of merger. You know, they would know what notice would be sufficient rather than risking an insufficient notice and having to go back and do it again. So this is the first time the board will have the opportunity to weigh in before the notice has been provided. Beth Moses has 19,109 lot owners and does not have contact information for all of them. In April, Beth Moses sent letters to 368 of the 486 burial societies that are lot owners, requesting updated address information. In the past 10 years, the cemetery reports it has executed 788 contracts for lot sales and has had about 4,493 burials in lots that are not owned by burial societies, but does not know how many affidavits of heirship it has as a result of those burials. Generally, Beth Moses relays it has a paper-based filing system, and gleaning the addresses from those records for a mailing would take time. Beth Moses has further relayed it does not maintain any social media presence, and none of its lot owners have requested notice by first-class mail. So today, the board is asked to decide whether or not notice by publication, notice by any other means other than publication would be an undue hardship. As I mentioned, I circulated a memorandum to the board on this topic. I also circulated the emails between the cemetery's council and I. And I'll take any questions or proceed as the board wishes.
So, again, the question is the cemetery eligible as a result of undue hardship? And I don't know if the board has any questions in that regard. Jill, do you have any thoughts about this?
You're muted, Jill.
Mute myself. Okay. Yeah, I understand that there are a number of burial societies connected with the ownership of some of the plots involved. Where do they fall in terms of the proposed? Is there a proposal to send notice to them?
My understanding from the correspondence with council to the cemeteries is that in the spring of this year, they did send notice to more than 300 of those burial societies asking for updated information. So very recently, the cemetery undertook that kind of effort and seems capable of doing so.
Okay. When you say contacted them for information, was relative to a different effort than what we would be talking about in terms of sending notification of the merger. Is that notice
would-
wasn't relative to this matter, correct?
It was not relative to this matter, according to my understanding, but I would defer to the cemeteries on
Okay.
why they were sending those letters.
We do have representatives of that cemetery on the line who can address some of these questions. And again, I think, my view is we do not want to put an undue burden on the cemetery, but I do think that they have some capacity to reach out as they've shown in the past. So I'm thinking they've got some ability. But does a representative from the cemetery want to present their case? Richard?
Thank you. My name is Richard Bethel. I'm counsel to the cemetery, both cemeteries. I'm not going to so much present a case as I think try to answer the question that is before you and provide the perspective of the two cemeteries. These are cemeteries that have existed and operated continuously. In the case of Wellwood, since the 1930s, in the case of Beth Moses, the 1940s, they are contiguous side by side. They've been operated effectively as one cemetery for, I think, pretty much the entirety of Beth Moses' existence, that is since 1948. A large part of both cemeteries was purchased by and is occupied by burial societies. As some of you know, most of those burial societies are now defunct. These were organizations that, in this case, Jews created back in the early part of the last century, and they provided as kind of mutual benefit organizations. Unfortunately, they no longer have the same active role and really haven't since the advent of Social Security, unemployment insurance, sick leave, and the rest. And so essentially they've been a small and dwindling membership for most of these societies. And in many cases, if not most cases, we're down to one or two people. Many of them have already allocated most of their graves, and we have people interred in them. And so the active involvement between the cemetery and the burial society only occurs at the point at which there's a desire to inter someone. Most of the time that's done in pre-existing documents, burial permits. Most of them, unfortunately, have chosen not to issue deeds for their own, presumably membership dues reasons. And instead, the cemetery will be contacted, often with no paperwork which indicates who has the right to be buried in a particular grave, by a family member saying, my father, for example, passed this morning or yesterday. We want to bury generally quickly, because that is the Jewish custom. And the cemetery is then required to check with the burial society if they don't have adequate paperwork on file already or the family does not have it. That's when we have a fire drill, because very often we find that we can't reach anyone at the burial society. We have a list of officers, we contact them. It may have been, in many cases, 15 years since the last burial, and we try to find a way to make the burial based on the paperwork we have when we can't. In the better cases, we get the authorization from the president, the authorized officer of the burial society. Often we have 3 or 4 names, but we're the general practice to call the senior person who's designated by the society. What this means is we do not have good records for the burial societies. What Rob was referring to a few minutes ago is that, yes, every 3 or 4 years, the cemetery does a mailing to all the burial societies that they have not already determined to be defunct, asking them to update their records of officers. What happened in the recent one is that we got responses from perhaps a third. And so that leaves us in a difficult position as far as making mailings. This is not the kind of situation you have at some other cemeteries, and more importantly, many other not-for-profit corporations where they have active memberships, they're communicating with them regularly, they're having regular membership meetings. Cemeteries don't do that. The reality is that for these cemeteries, we do not have good records. That's why making an effective mailing to lot owners is basically impossible. Could we do some sort of a mailing to the burial societies? We could try. The reality is our records, as of the mailing early this year, show that we have only about 100 and so returns. And so we could certainly mail to a larger number. It's probably pointless. And of course, there are other lot owners, which are privately purchased lots, where we have records depending on the last affidavit of heirship. And every time there's a burial, the cemetery's practice is to provide a blank affidavit of heirship to whoever has possession of the body. In a smaller proportion, less than half the cases, that will be returned completed to the cemetery. In most cases, it is not. And that's why we really don't have effective records to make a legitimate mailing. As you all know, under the NPCL, any corporation with 500 members or more can actually give notice by publication. We think that suffices here. That's what we do for our regular meetings. That's what the law requires. We actually don't think, and I'm not going to spend a lot on going into it, we don't think that 1506D applies to us. I know Rob and I disagree on this. And we have, in order to move this along, beg your pardon? Joe, did you want to say something?
Oh, no, I didn't say anything, no.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Joe. I remind people who are not speaking to mute themselves because we otherwise get interrupted. I'm sorry for the extraneous conversation, Richard. Sorry.
In any event, we've passed the issue of whether 1506D applies at all, although we do believe it does not. But it's not our intention to engage in litigation against the cemetery board and find out what the statute means and to whom it applies. We've amended our merger agreement to reflect many of the things, in fact, I think everything that the compliance with that statute would require. And I think we're now down to this question of how do we give notice of the lot owner meetings that we're now going to do for the second time, because we did this once. And that's where we are. We think it's impractical to provide notice other than by publication. We do believe it would constitute an undue hardship and serve no discernible purpose. And for that reason, we ask that you find this as an undue hardship, something that Rob mentioned the possibility of in the initial call we had on 1506D. Thank you.
Thank you. So, let me throw it back to the other board members for any questions of Richard or comments.
Yeah.
Are the graves that are owned by other than these burial societies?
There are graves, lots that are owned by other than.
So I did ask Richard how many plot sales to private individuals had occurred in the past 10 years, and they relayed 799.
Okay.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so I thank you for that explanation. And I guess my question now is, you did indicate that when you sent out that mailing to the burial societies, most, were not deliverable, but there was a significant number where it sounds like they were delivered. So you do have a good address for those. And I think, that sending to an address that you have that is a good address, presumably because it didn't come back undeliverable, I don't know how it would be a hardship to send it to those burial societies. You sent it once, it's, to comply with the statute, that would be what's necessary. I wouldn't interpret that as a hardship. And also, if there are 700, fairly recent purchases, or 700, non-burial society purchases, I would ask how many of those were purchased, recently, say within the last 10 years or something.
That was the 10-year number, right?
Yep, close.
Oh, that's
Almost
what the
800.
700 is. Okay.
Yep.
So is there's no contact information for connected with those 700?
The contact information we have exists in hard copy files that we maintain on the face of a contract. And so it would be a matter of going through those 700 files, pulling out the address for each. Those files will also contain, where we have them, affidavits of heirship, where there has been a burial. In that case, we presumably will have addresses. In many of those cases, there may be more than one address because, as you know, at the point at which an issue passes under the statute, ownership of the graves goes to the descendant. And so in some of those cases, there'd be 2, 3, could be 6 descendants who would be co-owners at that point. And so the number could grow very substantially there. Again, the bigger constraint is...
I mean, it sounds as though... No, go ahead.
In most cases, or many cases, we will not have affidavits of heirship. Because as I said before, the majority of people do not complete and return them. We wish they did, but that is the reality. Given all that specific data, to Rob, and I think you have it in front of you, because, we went to a fair amount of effort to put together the data Rob had requested. That's before you.
It sounds as though the record-keeping system, with all due respect, is adding to the hardship, or what is purported to be the hardship. I mean, you have the information, or at least a robust portion of the information you need to send notices in the mail, but it's difficult because the records are paper. I understand, but I'm just that's what it seems as though that's what you're saying.
I think to some degree that's accurate.
Okay.
I mean, I just to weigh a little bit. One, I want to go back and say that, we as a board were, aggressive about requiring the 2 cemeteries to merge to one. We thought it was a better fit, not for anything untoward, but because it fit the way the not-for-profit law is supposed to work. And so I do appreciate your efforts to do that, to comply with that request. I think it's the right thing to do. It is to some extent atmospherics, but it's the right thing to do because then the clear interests of the board members are looking out for the interests of the cemetery. I don't want to make it hard for my own view for you to do this. I think that we should require a reasonable effort at contacting people because this is, a fairly substantial change. And so I think that mailing to the burial societies that returned addresses is reasonable. You have them. I don't know how much work it would take to go through those 700 and what your resources are, Richard, as a staff. Do you know what? Can you tell me what resources are available to you and how that would happen if you tried to go through it? The
resources are limited. We have some clericals, of course. We would have to take them off other duties in order to do this. I don't know how long this would take.
Could I just ask a follow-up clarification? And so, Richard, the number of letters sent to burial societies was about 368. A few dozen the cemetery received back undeliverable. 100 and change, you received a confirmation of the address. So that would leave about half sort of, we don't know. The post office didn't say it was undeliverable, but they didn't affirmatively reach out to the cemetery saying, yes, here we are.
Yes, the
Is that-
overwhelming majority were not delivered or were not returned.
Well, again, I guess I'm, looking for, I think I agree with what Jill was saying, is that the case of practicality, I think, is made pretty well, that this is an effort that is not likely to result in a lot of responses. And we see that in our other cemeteries. And very often what we ask is a reasonable effort. So I would propose for discussion and to the board a mailing. Rob clarified that not all were undeliverable, but you have, I think, fairly easy access to the burial societies that make up the vast majority of the lots in the two cemeteries. And I would be willing to let that be the major effort and let the rest go as notice of publication. But I defer to comments from my colleagues.
No, that sounds reasonable.
What about the non-burial society owners who you have relatively current records for? I mean, I wonder why we can't. What's the issue with sending to those?
It's the
Sounds
same
like-
issue. I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah, I just, not to speak on your behalf, sounds like it's just a fair amount of work.
Yeah, it's a matter of going through all those files to pull from them the best addresses we have,
Mhm.
and then to do a fairly substantial mailing.
I think that should be done. That's my my input.
Okay, well, again, so for discussion, we have Jill, your proposal would be a mailing to the burial societies and an effort to glean addresses from the records of the most current, and you want to use the figure that we got for the 10-year number, the 700?
799.
Sure. I mean, are there email addresses? If they only go back 10 years, presumably you'd have some, electronic means of communicating with them, no?
No, we have none.
No email addresses for people
We don't
in the
have
last
email.
10 years? No? Okay.
I'm advised.
Yeah, still, I understand what you're saying, and as was just said, on a practical level, I get it, but I do think to comply with the statutory requirements, my vote would be that recent set within the last 10 years get mailed to as well.
I will tell you one thing, there's a reasonable chance that depending upon how onerous your order might be, we're just going to walk away from the merger. We will not pursue it. It's very possible. But you'll do whatever you think is right. Boards of the cemeteries will do likewise.
Mhm.
Well, I'm not prepared to entertain that discussion. I think we made it very clear that the merger was something that needed to be done. We approved your application for a major renovation on the basis of that. And while I understand that it is work, I think you're not in compliance with the two cemeteries on identical boards acting as one, because there's no way for the one cemetery to be looking out for say that they're carrying out their fiduciary responsibilities. I don't know what we would do about that, but I think that I would certainly advise that not to be the direction. Again, we want a reasonable effort. I would defer to Jill on her motion. I think that again, that's reasonable. So, any other discussion?
Putting any time frame on this?
So Tom, that's a great point. I thought I tried to capture something in a proposed resolution, working through all the issues. And as Richard pointed out, generally, membership corporations under the not-for-profit corporation law have general notice requirements for notice of meetings of members. So 605 has timing and content requirements for letters already. And so that seems readily accessible for lot owners that will receive notice by publication. Same thing, 605 has what notice by publication means. So we could just refer to that. And if I may?
Yep.
Okay. The New York State Cemetery Board has reviewed the materials submitted by Beth Moses Cemetery to provide notice to its lot owners of a meeting to vote on a plan of merger solely by publication due to undue hardship. The board has reviewed Beth Moses Cemetery's application in accordance with not-for-profit corporation law Article 15 and its implementing regulations, and hereby resolves that the proposed merger with Wellwood Cemetery would create a cemetery of approximately 200 acres and is subject to the additional merger requirements of not-for-profit corporation law 1506-D. Beth Moses is to send first-class mailings in accordance with the content and timing requirements of not-for-profit corporation law section 605 to the following lot owners. All burial societies owning lots in Beth Moses, all burial societies owning lots in Beth Moses for which Beth Moses did not receive, addressee has moved or left no forwarding address or not deliverable responses from the post office after its April 2023 mailing, and all lot owners who have purchased lots in the past 10 years. For all remaining lot owners, the cemetery board finds that, based upon Beth Moses' representations, notice by methods other than publication would cause undue hardship, and Beth Moses shall provide notice by publication in accordance with not-for-profit corporation law, section 605, and Beth Moses shall provide notice to all lot owners in accordance with not-for-profit corporation law, section 1506-D, B2 and 3. Always a mouthful.
Yes. So I'll make that motion.
Mark, before you guys vote, I've recused myself in a particular application. My concern here is that I obviously can't have anything to say about this particular application. My concern here is that whatever you do one way, this way, that way, the other way, however you come out on this one, that we vote for the possibility of discussing these issues in the context. I can actually vote on them, not for these guys, but for the next guy who comes along. I'm a little nervous that we'll say, okay, we did this one, the next guy comes, we're going to do the exact same way. There are probably things I would say, if I could say about them.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Just to bear in mind that the next one.
I think the board will take these things on a case-by-case
Okay,
basis.
okay, fair enough.
So I have a motion that was read. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion about that? Because I understand that there's, pros and cons. Okay, so all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, and thank you, Richard, for your help in that. Thank the cemetery for their work. So, thank you very much.
Thank you for moving this up on the agenda to accommodate the concern I have following it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, we're hopeful that this will work out for you. Thank you again, and now we'll move back to the regular agenda, which is the vandalism report, and then vandalism modifications.
Yeah, so I would like to note on annual reports that we've received about 1,400 so far this year, of which about 600 are online, representing about 42% of all reports filed. Vandalism report, I posted it for everybody to read. I would like to make note that we polled the investigators to get their feel on what they think is going to be completed on applications we've already approved, just to get an understanding how much more money we're going to be paying out on those. and it's approximately $500,000. We paid out cash a little over $200,000, and all the applications that are on the agenda for today and are in the pipeline, if those all get approved, that'll be an additional $100,000 paid out, and they're 25%. So we're in good shape. We're not in danger of overspending the $2 million at this point in time.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the vandalism report? Thank you. We have 4 vandalism applications, the applications for the vandalism fund. All are dangerous monument applications.
Can I make note on one, Green Ridge Cemetery, we're gonna have to table that one right away. Something came up at the 11th hour yesterday regarding the bid, one of the bids, so we're gonna have to move that one to October.
Okay. Which one was that? Green Ridge. Green Ridge, so we'll take them in order. Evergreen Cemetery in Jefferson County, in the amount of $15,965.36. Is there someone who wants to present that to the board?
This is Mike Seelman with the division presenting for Evergreen. Evergreen Cemetery is a small cemetery in the town of Henderson, Jefferson County. They requested repair of 25 hazardous monuments. I visited the cemetery with the cemetery president, found all of the 25 monuments. It did appear to be hazardous. The most recent monument was dated 1982. The majority of the other monuments were from the mid to late 1800s, and the cemetery stated that they do not have contact records for those lot owners. So they put an ad in the paper once a week for 3 weeks in the Watertown Times, and they did not receive any response from that ad. It's my understanding that the cemetery has determined that they cannot locate the lot owners for these monuments. The cemetery received 2 estimates, one from Kazi Monument, one from Wilson Monument. The lower of the 2 is from Kazi Monument for $15,650. They propose to remove and reset 25 foundations and put the monuments back on those new foundations to a depth of 36 inches. The average price for this, the low estimate was $626 per stone. This cemetery is up to date on their annual reports and their vandalism payments, and it appears to be a legitimate request for $15,965.36, and I recommend it.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Mike on the application from Evergreen Cemetery? Council?
Only that if
No.
the cemetery approves the application, the approval will be subject to the availability of funds.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the application from Evergreen Cemetery for 25 monuments in the amount of $15,965.36, subject to the availability of funds. Second that. All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Application is approved. Next application is from Warren Cemetery in Rensselaer County. 28 monuments in the amount of $15,523.12. Is there someone to present that?
Yeah, this is Len Green. I'll present for Warren Cemetery. Warren's a small cemetery in the town of Hoosick, Rensselaer County. They've submitted an application for the restoration of 28 hazardous monuments, and I visited the cemetery. I was able to determine that all 28 are indeed hazardous and in danger of falling. Out of those 28 monuments, most of them are dated old, from the mid-19th to early 20th century. However, there were 5 monuments that were of the 21st century, and the cemetery did have mailing addresses, so they sent out letters to those 5 families, and to date they have not received a response from the 5 letters that they sent out. The remaining 23 monuments, they placed a legal ad for 3 consecutive weeks, and Likewise, they have not received response for those 23 monuments. Based on the information provided, it's our division's understanding that cemetery has determined the lot owners, none of the lot owners can be found for this application. So under this application, I received one estimate. The cemetery has requested that the board accept this application with just the one estimate for their inability to acquire another estimate. I have included a refusal letter from one contractor, from MB Restorations, who refused to submit an estimate based on time constraints. And the other estimate is from Hummer, the one estimate that was submitted for an amount of $15,442, which is reasonable considering the amount of monuments to be repaired. So the Hummer proposes to reset and reseal the monuments and pour all foundations for all 28 monuments at a depth of 42 inches, and he offers a 10-year warranty. So based on this, and the cemetery is up to date, and the following reports and the vandalism assessment fees and everything is in order and appears to be a legitimate claim, the amount of $15,523.12, which includes the legal notice. So I recommend approval of this application.
All right, thank you. Anybody have any questions, comments for this application?
No questions.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the application of Warren Cemetery in Rensselaer County for 28 hazardous monuments in the amount of $15,523.12. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Applications. Thank you. Next one is Pierpont Hill Cemetery in St. Lawrence County for 26 hazardous monuments in the amount of $17,917.08. Did I ask you?
You did not, but I didn't have any.
Okay, and I'll modify my approval to be subject to the availability of funds, because I keep forgetting that. So, thank you. So who's going to present Pierpont?
This is Mike Seelman again for Pierpont. Pierpont Hill's a small cemetery in the town of Pierpont, St. Lawrence County. They submitted an application for the repair of 27 hazardous monuments. I visited the cemetery with the cemetery president, Nancy Rutledge, and we found 26 of those 27 monuments appeared to be hazardous. There was one monument, the Robeson Monument, and we looked at it and we couldn't figure out why it was listed as hazardous. It was straight, it appeared solid, and we agreed that it did not appear to be hazardous, and so it was removed from consideration. The most recent monument in this application is dated 1943, and the cemetery does not have records going back that far, so they ran a legal notice in the Watertown Times for $231. They received no response from that. So it's our understanding that the cemetery has determined that the lot owners cannot be located. Nancy Rutledge had requested estimates from 5 different monument contractors in the area and only received one. It was from Frary Monument Company in the amount of $17,686.54. That's to reset 26 monuments on new foundations to the depth of 42 inches. The cemetery has requested that you accept this application with just the one estimate. The average price is $680 per stone, which is well below the statewide average, which is over $1,000 per stone. So it's a very reasonable estimate for this amount of work. Cemetery is up to date on their vandalism payments and their annual reports. They submitted, or they received a previous allocation, and it was used appropriately for repair of other hazardous monuments. And I recommend approval of this application in the amount of $17,917.89.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody have any questions of Mike on this application? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the application for Pierpont Hills Cemetery in St. Lawrence County for 26 hazardous monuments in the amount of $17,917.89, subject to availability of funds. Any other comments, council? I did that backwards, but I'll work with you. Okay, so second,
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Application for Pierpont Hills Cemetery is approved. We are moving an application from Greenwood Cemetery to the October board meeting. We have a number of other applications before us today. Take them in order, Alicia.
The Greenwood application, we should, if you're gonna not act on it, you should just note that it's tabled.
It's Green Ridge, not Greenwood.
Green Ridge.
Oh, Green Ridge, right.
46015,
I
Saratoga
was a little
County.
surprised about Greenwood.
You already noted that it was tabled.
Oh, they're fine. No, but he said Greenwood, which we
Oh,
have an
okay.
application on. We're not tabling that, right? We're not tabling Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn?
No.
Okay, let's just say Greenwood. Got it, never mind.
Okay. We have an application from the Cavalry.
Yeah, Michael, I'm gonna do this one. Mount Calvary Cemetery in Buffalo, just outside of Buffalo, is, well, part of it is in Buffalo, is looking to replace 3 cremation retorts. As Michael's report indicates, we initially recommended approval. We realized afterwards that we were missing an engineer's report. I was just looking for the requirement. Section 201.16 of our regulations says that the, hold on, let me just get it. Has that the report has to be certified by a licensed engineer. We've interpreted that as being fulfilled if we have a report on the matter from a licensed engineer, not necessarily the entire report under the regulation to be certified. The problem is, we have engineer's drawings from 1988 for the building itself. We don't have anything from an engineer on the work that's actually being done. We've been waiting on that. We'd asked the cemetery for that several weeks ago. They asked their engineer for that several weeks ago. It hasn't come. While we don't anticipate any issues, it is an explicit requirement in the regulations. And we recommend that the application be tabled. We understand the cemetery wants it to be heard anyway. So I'll let them speak to that, but we're missing the required report.
Other comments?
No, I think Louis addressed those nicely. I would just also maybe ask whether or not the building permits that the cemetery is waiting on, that might be helpful to know also. Are they still waiting on the building permits as well?
Okay. So the issue's been raised. We have cemetery representatives here. On the line.
They were having trouble connecting, but David Fleming, I can comment on their application, if that's acceptable.
All kinds of rules.
Yeah, so, yes, this is for a retort replacement for the existing crematories as required by New York State DEC regulations. I think a couple important factors for the board to consider in reviewing this application is the fact that the cemetery is, through no fault of their own, waiting for professional services to provide this report, but also if they don't get approval, the price increases for the equipment are going to go up significantly in October. And additionally, I realize it's not a policy of the board and I can read the regulations, but as late as January, a similar application came before the board, which has been fairly common in the last several years of meetings that I've attended, where the board has approved these applications contingent on the receipt of local permits and stamp plans or an engineering report. In fact, the one in January says adopted approving the application subject to receipt of stamp plans from an engineer. So this is a request that is not uncommon to the board, and I think there would be a real hardship for the cemetery, again, not through any fault of their own, to not at least be able to secure the pricing that they need for the retort so they don't increase costs for the cemetery.
I know you don't know this, but do you have a sense of how much they could go up?
I don't know that. I think it's around I'm not sure if they told you yesterday, it's 10%, I think.
I think that was Rich. I mean, they're guessing. They don't even know which day
Right.
in October they will go up. Their best guess was October 15th,
Well,
but it could be any day. It could be
Right.
any day.
But I've tried to actually get us away from that practice, but, other than the municipal permitting kind of thing. But do you have any sense of, I mean, if we approve a contingent and the engineer's report doesn't come, the same problem exists, right? They can't commit.
they
Doing
could commit to the, you know, understand the retort, the order will be going through based on what they have. If the board wants to, I guess even, I would suggest possibly putting a time frame on when the report has to be received. That's up to you. I understand your desire to get away from those approvals, but this is something I think that is.
Didn't say, no. Do you have any thoughts, Melissa, Rob, on this?
Well, my recollection of the last time this came up was that there was a drawing, but it had not been certified, stamped by the engineer. Here, I don't know that an engineer has looked at the plan of the construction company at all. They're gonna open up a 90 square foot hole in the side of the building. Now, the construction company is proposing to put an I-beam across it, ostensibly to make sure it doesn't collapse. I don't know if an engineer has looked at that and said, yeah, that makes sense, I just need to get to it. Or if an engineer is going to have a different approach. I also don't know whether or not, this is really the impediment. Has the municipality issued the building permit? Could they even proceed? Is this the last and final thing, or are they still waiting for other things as well?
I guess the only other thought I had, go ahead, Len.
I just wanted to throw in, if the cemetery is concerned about the price of the retorts increasing, perhaps they could put a down payment on that may be refundable in the case that this doesn't go through for one reason or another. I'm not sure how the retort companies work in that regard, but it is possible they may be able to secure that price with a down payment.
They already put a down payment.
Oh, they did?
The issue.
Well, then
is
that
they
should
have
secure
to-
the price.
I mean, to know, they have to close. We've had this come up in a couple of other cases. It doesn't secure the price for all time and space. There's a deadline beyond which they won't hold that price.
At least
And
6
in
months,
fact,
right?
whatever it is, this will put them past
Should be
it.
at least 6 months.
I would just also add that it's not just about price, it's about inventory, and that there is a huge waiting period for these retorts, and it is like any other business. They don't have any guarantee that they're gonna be able to proceed.
I'm prepared to recommend a contingent approval, but a contingent approval is they can't proceed until they get everything done. So I'm not sure if that helps them or not. I suppose they can move quicker once they don't have to come back to us, is the point, right? So, but they can't, I mean, they can't buy it, they can't put it in, they can't open up the hole, they can't until they get all of the engineering report and the municipal approvals, right? So.
If you're gonna recommend a contingent approval, I would approve based on subject and contingency, only the purchase of retorts. Let them come back before us in October to approve the actual major renovation piece of this, which is knocking the hole in the wall, the ivy and all that. That way, once they're paid in full 100%, they've got the retorts. They've got
That's up to them.
Well, respectfully, this is also a financing plan and a major renovation plan. There are a lot of things that have to be done. We're saying it's a temporary delay with the engineer to get the report finalized into the board. Our hope is that we can get that within a matter of days, not
Yeah, that's my
months.
point.
So that's,
My
the
point
concern
is
is
they
we
can't-
wait another month and then
They don't have to wait another month, but they can't proceed without that.
and the cemetery has no intention of proceeding without an
Okay,
engineer.
that'd be so, I mean, I'm prepared to say we approve the application. Is there anything else that anyone wants to add? I mean, application contingent on the receipt of the certified engineer's report and all municipal approvals. Does that cover the waterfront?
Yeah, let me just add that also, based upon review of the major renovation as presented, that this appears to be a type 2 for the purpose.
Yes, thank you. We're now not sinners on seeker. So I put that out there as a motion. I have a second for discussion purposes.
Second.
Do we have other discussion from other board members about the motion?
Should they have to come back? I think our next meeting is less than 2 weeks.
It's gonna be later. It makes no sense to have a meeting less than 2 weeks, we're gonna schedule it for later.
You're gonna reschedule?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Jill, any other discussion?
No, that makes sense to me.
Okay. So I have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 The contingent application is approved for Calvary Cemetery.
Thank you.
Next is Maple Grove Cemetery Mausoleum.
Hi, this is Carrie McGovern. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm Carrie McGovern with the New York State Division of Cemetery.
Carrie, I think you're on, Carrie.
I'm having a little difficulty.
You're on 2 devices.
I'm
That
sorry,
happens
what?
When you have it on both, I think you have it both on your phone and on your computer. When that happens, you
I don't.
get echo.
I've only got it on. I only have it on.
It's fine now.
Okay,
Okay,
never mind.
thank
Go
you.
ahead.
I'll continue. Maple Grove Cemetery is in Queens County, New York. There are 65-acre cemetery, of which about 3 acres are currently available. They have come before the cemetery board to apply for approval of a new public mausoleum structure. Maple Grove has currently 2 other mausoleums, but both of them have been completely sold out since 2021. This new mausoleum will be 1 story. It will be a concrete structure with polished granite veneer and will have 75 outdoor crypt spaces, with an option to increase its capacity later by adding columbarium niches at a much later date if the cemetery chooses to do so. They say they have no plans to do so in the immediate future. The cost of the project, including surveying, landscaping, and fence repair and replacement, is estimated at $279,050 and would be paid for out of their general fund, which had a balance of $47,018,053 at the end of 2021. The proposed price per crypt is going to be $20,000, and the cemetery expects its full return on investment in 3 years, and they also expect the entire mausoleum to be completely sold out in 12 years. Maple Grove is very well maintained. It's a mid-sized cemetery in a busy urban area in the city and has a clear demand for more mausoleum space. The addition of another mausoleum is going to provide more options for its clientele for the next decade or more, and the cemetery can readily afford the project, so they're up to date on annual reports and vandalism payments, and they have a conflict of interest policy in place. They're in compliance with state statute, and I recommend approval of this project.
Rob?
I would only add that based upon the 1,252 square footage of the proposed mausoleum, this would qualify as a type 2 as construction of a non-residential structure involving less than 4,000 gross floor units.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board on the presentation?
Questions?
No.
I'll make a motion to approve the application of Maple Grove Cemetery for a new mausoleum. Is there anything, that's what I do, I approve it? We approve it?
Yes. It's only long crypts that you don't object and other.
Okay, so I have a second.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Application for Maple Grove Cemetery is approved. We have an application for Beverly Hills Cemetery for mausoleum budget modification.
Yes. It's Rich Fryman. Louis, do you want to take this or should I?
I can do it. Thanks, Richard. I'll do it. So Beverly Hills is we approved a mausoleum project for them back in December of 2020. The anticipated cost of them is just under $725,000. The cost has increased, not surprisingly, since 2020. It's now the total estimated cost is $1.158 million. This is an application that we approved with a specific dollar amount in the resolution, so they need to come back to us for further approval. The other wrinkle here is that during construction, we were concerned about pre-selling and taking money from people. And we were concerned about what would happen if they somehow ran out of money and didn't finish the project. So we asked that all money that they took in initially go into a construction account, that they then disperse that money to build it and hang on to the rest and give us quarterly reports. They spent everything that's in the construction account. The project is all but done. They're going to be done by the end of this calendar year. So I'm not going to get into the details. It's in their application, which is attached to my report. But there are various ways in which the costs have increased. Mostly, it's just cost of materials and stuff that's gone up. But the town has required renovations of like stairs and a wall adjacent to it. That they wanted to do extra stuff, the perimeter wall and steps that they're requiring them to do extra stuff with. That's an existing thing, but they have to fix it up to satisfy the town to get their permits. So that's added a significant amount of cost as well. Given how close they are to done, we're no longer concerned that they be taking people's money and not finishing the project. So we're recommending, number one, that the board amend its approval to increase the amount to $1,157,678, and that the board clarify that they need not retain any, that until completion they don't have to retain and disperse through the construction account any monies they get from pre-sale, any more monies they get from pre-sales.
Thank you, Louis.
Again, I guess we can note that since the aspects of this that slightly vary, I don't think they rise to the level of major alteration, but the work that they're doing that wasn't covered in the initial thing, the perimeter wall and stairs, since they're repairing existing structures, these would be a type 2 under secret.
Also, for what it's worth, if it's not a major alteration, which I concur with Louis, these are repairs to existing things, and we don't interpret major alterations that way. There would be nothing for the board to approve in that regard, so we might have to consider secret in the first place.
I'm mentioning it just on the off chance somebody thought it might be major alteration like.
But you determined it's not, so.
We don't believe it is.
Okay. Anything else for the cemetery?
No, Louis said it. We've documented the increased construction costs. We've promised the people that have repurchased their crypts and niches that this work would be completed in 2023, and we're trying to make good on that representation. So we're asking that the increase be approved today so we can get this thing done.
Right.
The other thing I should have noted is that none of their contracts in building this are related party transactions, so there's no concern that any money is going into any insiders' pockets.
Okay, so this is a motion to amend
Correct.
the approval of Beverly Hills construction of a mausoleum to reflect increased costs and some increased scope of work as required by the town to a number of, do you want to give the number?
$1,157,678.
Like you said, and that we amend the previous approval to no longer require that pre-sales be placed in the construction account.
Any further.
I mean, we had put the amount of 722,596 into the construction account at your request, so that the money would be there, and it sat there until we could get the construction started. And then as the construction started, we were drawing down on that account.
Yeah.
Which was how it was supposed to work.
Okay, so I think that's the amendment. Anybody?
I think all you're amending is the amounts, is they put in what they.
No, I'm amending the amounts and I'm amending the requirement that they, right?
Correct.
Did you tell me to do that?
Yeah, I did.
I don't.
I'm not sure you.
I'm sure I
need-
like to be known as somebody that does what you tell me, but no.
I'm not sure that you actually need to amend the second piece, but since I said there's no harm.
Okay. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? This is the comedy show. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The application for Beverly Hills Cemetery, the amendment to amend the application approval is approved.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Next is Woodlawn Cemetery, one of many Woodlawn cemeteries for mausoleum extension.
Mike?
Mike Seelman again, presenting Woodlawn. Woodlawn Woodlawn Cemetery in Onondaga County, partially in the city of Syracuse. Is a 150-acre full-service cemetery. They've got a cremation center. Glass front niches. They have five mausoleum units. They have a total of 8,246 crypts that they have built since the 1970s. And of those 8,246 crypts, they only have less than 230 available for sale. They average about 100 crypt sales per year. So they would like to add on to their Sunset Mausoleum complex. They want to put a additional 6,787 square foot building containing 628 crypts and 1,056 niches. I went to the site. I noted that they had the proper signage posted at the cemetery, at the office, and at the location. The location was the initial building was laid out so that this further construction could take place. It's a good place for this to occur. The total cost of the construction is estimated at $5,376,500. It's going to come from the general fund of the cemetery. The return on investment is anywhere between 3.5 and 5.5 million over 30 years. I've recommended approval of this project. I don't know if we have an accountant that wants to discuss it or if we have someone from the cemetery available.
Anything else to add, Russell?
This did require a short form environmental assessment form, and the division and I are proposing that this be treated as an unlisted action. So if the board is going to decide to approve it, I did draft a proposed resolution, and Louis and I worked on part 3 of the short form EAF.
Okay.
Which you would, in addition to approving, the board would have to authorize Mark to sign it, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think that's what we did.
All right, so let me just first see if there's anybody had any questions on the proposal.
No questions.
Okay, so first we need to deal with the secret issue, is that right?
Yep. So proposed resolution?
Yeah.
All right. The New York State Cemetery Board has reviewed the materials submitted by Woodlawn Cemetery number 34-053 to expand its existing Sunset Chapel Mausoleum by adding 628 crypts and 1,056 niches. The board has reviewed Woodlawn Cemetery's application in accordance with Not-for-Profit Corporation Law Article 15, 19 NYS RR 201.11, the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQR, and its implementing regulations, and hereby resolves that the board's determination on this application is subject to seeker and its implementing regulations. Pursuant to seeker, the board classifies the application as an unlisted action and elects to proceed in an uncoordinated review. The board adopts the draft environmental assessment form and makes a negative declaration. And the board approves Woodlawn Cemetery's application to expand its existing Sunset Chapel mausoleum by adding 628 crypts and 1,056 niches for the total price of $5,376,500 paid through its general fund in accordance with this application. And I did not write it down, but pursuant to Lewis's good suggestion, the board authorizes Chairperson Patterson to sign the short form EAF on its behalf.
So it's always that one resolution.
And then,
So, do I have a second? Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Motion carries. The application for Woodlawn Mausoleum Extension and seeker review is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Greenwood Cemetery?
I think that's me. Hang on. So this is another sort of modification of the existing application. Greenwood, back in 2022, we approved Greenwood Cemetery, a rather large project at Greenwood Cemetery is currently underway. They are renovating an existing greenhouse, building a new attachment to that building, and ultimately are going to transform their current office space into a columbarium. They were going to finance this entire project out of their general fund. However, although much of that they were going to get back through various state and local grants. They have 18 million in grants that they've lined up that they're expecting payment on. They were originally going to, these grants require them to go out of pocket and then seek reimbursement at the end of the process. The problem is right now, their financial advisor, their financial expertise determined it doesn't make sense to sell general fund assets and break up investments to cover the cost of that. So instead, they're proposing to take out bridge financing to cover the 18 million until they're able to finish the project and get reimbursed, at which point they'll retire the payoff. It's a cemetery of this, given that this is a cemetery that's got, I believe, over $200 million in their general fund. They're fiscally very savvy. If they believe this makes sense, there's no way that if this doesn't impact on their financial viability in any way, shape, or form. And if they think this makes sense from a business perspective, we don't find anything problematic about it. So we recommend amending the approval to allow them to finance it in this manner as opposed to all straight from the general fund. I mean, strictly speaking, I don't know that there's anything that prevents them from borrowing money and paying for things. Since they're not borrowing PM, they're not touching anything that requires approvals, but since we had previously reported the money was going to come from the general fund, I think we should pin this down. Okay? It might be enough for the board to say that it's sensible, they don't have to act at all. Or you could modify again, our concern is just that we get clear expression that the board acknowledges that we know this is what they're doing, we don't have a problem.
And your recommendation is?
Probably the safest course is to modify your original approval.
I have proposed language for a resolution.
That's even better.
Okay. Taking into account what Louis just teed up, the board's November 9th, 2022 resolution approving the major alterations modified to replace, quote, to be financed from the cemetery's general fund, end quote, with, quote, to be financed through a bridge loan through TD Bank in accordance with the term sheet included with its application.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Move application for Greenwood Cemetery to modify our earlier approval as approved.
Thank you.
Beth Moses, we've already done. Washington Cemetery.
You're gonna do that, Rob?
So for Washington Cemetery, I'm going to ask that the board move into an executive session to
So let's
discuss pending litigation. So if we could handle Utica Forest first.
First.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is me again. I will only give you one recommendation here. Utica Cemetery, also known as Forest Hill, borrowed money to build a crematory. Crematory's opened. They're supposed to start repaying their PM loan in equal monthly payments starting the end of this month. They're asking that we recommend, sorry, the end of next month, the end of October. They're asking that we recommend that Supreme Court grant them the order allowing them to pay it back on a per cremation basis, with a balloon payment due at the end of 10 years. Sorry, 10 years? Just, yeah, 10 years. We went back and forth on the period, it's 10 years. We think that they want to just have access to more of the cash up front and to build up their general fund from this, because they have some projects and stuff that are coming down the pike that they might need money for. We have no problem with this structure. I would not be okay with this. I mean, there was a period where the board approved PM loans where the only repayment was on a percentage of sales or percentage of activity basis. I would have a problem with that, which is why we structured this with a balloon payment at the end. The other thing I'll note is that they agreed to pay themselves back initially with 2% interest. They are preserving that 2% interest in this. It'll kick in that balloon payment at the end of 10 years. So again, this is going to be, I think the simplest way to tee this up is that I'm asking the board to recommend that Supreme Court approve a modification to its existing order in this matter in the form that's attached to our to the submission to our right of the court.
So it's,
Because we have a proposed order.
so they have to go back to the court.
They still have to go back to court.
Rob, anything else?
I worked with counsel for the cemetery on the petition and proposed order. I have no concerns.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion that the board recommend a modification.
Recommend Supreme Court approval.
Recommend Supreme Court approval of the modification of their VM loan.
I just have a question. So, the term recommend, we're recommending it, or are we letting the court know that we have no objection? Or are we giving the court input? Are we giving the court input that would indicate that we're recommending it? Like, what's the form that the cemetery is going to provide in their proposed order to the court?
That the cemetery board is recommending that the Supreme Court approve modification of the order. My understanding is that's traditionally what we've done, that cemeteries first come here. What the statute requires is that, if they are going to Supreme Court, that they provide notice to the cemetery board.
Right.
And so to smooth any speed bumps in that process.
Oh, I understand. I totally get it. My question is really more just procedural. I mean, they're doing this on notice to us. We're not required to give approval before they can go to court, correct?
No, we are not required to give approval before they go to court.
I mean, the reason we do this is so we don't get blindsided in court. Sometimes there've been one.
No, I understand. I'm just, my question really relates to the format of our recommendation. So what you're saying is that we typically make a recommendation rather than letting the court know that we've reviewed it and approve the proposed order.
I'll be candid. I don't know that I certainly have not seen all the times you guys have submitted papers on our behalf in these court actions. So
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you.
yeah, it's just the format. I'm
I
not
can
as
tell you
familiar
it's
with
worth-
an agency or a board recommending what the Supreme Court should do. Um, Typically, it's, this is the agency's position on it. We reviewed it, we have no objection, we approve it. But again, I was just trying to understand, I think, more of the nuance here.
So that's worth maybe some little conversation later, but.
It's not a substantive concern, it's a language
Yeah,
concern.
I know exactly what you're talking about. So we made the motion though to recommend that the court approve the budget modification. And I think your point's taken, council will do a little work to see if that is the best way to do it in the future. So do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Let me just ask this question. When we go into not an executive session, but
I was gonna recommend executive session to discuss pending litigation, that's one of the reasons. So if we vote to do that, if the vote, the board votes to do that.
should we do public comment and next board meeting, but we will come back out if we take any action, right?
Yes, we will come back out, yeah.
Okay, so why don't we do that,
Sure.
just so that those that don't care can go. So I will hold the discussion about Washington Cemetery for a moment, move to the public comment period, and note the next cemetery board meeting is scheduled for October 10th, but I'm told it will be changed.
Yes, we're working on a date right now.
Well, our current proposal,
It's the 19th.
the 19th of October, that
It's a
worked for us
Thursday.
and for Rob.
No idea.
We only figured this out yesterday, so.
I'm out of state that day.
You're on state?
It's the 19th of October? Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the following Tuesday? What's that date?
24.
I
It'll
am,
be the 24th.
That's getting very
Late.
late, because the whole idea was to to have it a little later than we were originally gonna have it, but not so late, so that we can by November creep back to the regular dates.
I am likely to be on the road that day,
Which dates?
the 19th.
Oh, so the 19th doesn't work for you either.
Not the 18th.
Is there a reason the 18th didn't work?
I don't think so.
18th should be fine. The 17th didn't work because we have the nice.
Going out to
Oh.
18th?
Everybody?
We'll confirm it.
The 18th. Yeah.
All right, next cemetery board meeting is currently scheduled for October 18th at 10:30. Louis?
10:30, yeah.
And is there anyone here,
We don't know which room yet.
anyone here that wishes to address the board on matters that we've discussed or other matters for the board?
I will. If
Yeah.
no one else will.
Anyone else online? All right, David?
Just quickly, David Fleming from the New York State Association of Cemeteries. I just want to publicly thank the division staff and the director for participating in these Cemetery 101 classes with NYSAC as well as independently. I think they've been really well received. Had a great turnout, a lot of very good questions, which has actually increased the communication connections at the NYSAC offices where people are now reaching out, have less of belief that NYSAC is actually their regulators and we're able to direct them to division staff. And so it's been very helpful, and the basic information that's being provided is not so basic when you're talking about small rural cemeteries in many cases who have new volunteers and have no experience with the nonprofit law. So thank you all very much. I know it's a lot of work and effort, so thank you.
You're having fun doing it, so. Good, thank you. Anything else, David?
That's all. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. Okay, so I think that concludes the regular business. I'm gonna take up an application for the Forest, the Washington Cemetery Association, and make a motion to move to executive session.
To discuss Washington Cemetery versus the Free Sons of Israel Incorporated,
Okay?
pending litigation.
We are not adjourning the board meeting.
No, we are not adjourning the board meeting.
We will reconvene to adjourn, and we will report any action taken if necessary.
We don't anticipate reporting anything in open session.
Okay.
So I'll call you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So do I have a second for that motion to go to executive session?
Sorry.
Yes? Yes.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
We will move to executive session. What does that mean to?
Should we just go next door to your office, Alicia?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
We'll call Jill.
Well, Jill, we'll call you from
Okay.
Alicia's
This
office.
will stay open.
Okay.
Those that wish to hang around. All right, so we are back in,
Is Jill here?
No, neither.
Don't need her?
Not actually neither. She already voted.
we're back in open session. Out of executive session where we discussed pending litigation. The board in executive session directed the council seek representation from the Attorney General as a result of our being notified that we are a party to the action. That's just, I'm just reporting that. Right? So I think that concludes our business. Have a motion to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
You are been 100% today.
All right, Jill,
All in favor? Aye. Thank you all for participating.